Hey there, Gigawater Gang. It's me, Kina. Before we get into this episode, which you're going to love, my guests were amazing. I just wanted to say thank you so much for being so supportive of me taking last week off. I really needed that time to just take care of myself. Listen, if you're the person that gave me a 3-star rating one time because I talked about my plants, you're going to hate this. But I actually spent most of the week gardening and being outside, doing my best to keep it together. This week has been really hard. I've been struggling and I've been in the dark and twisty place, but I'm okay. I'm taking care of myself. To be completely honest with you, I wasn't sure until a few minutes ago if I was going to have an episode this week. I have been dreading editing because we recorded this episode about 20 minutes after I found out that Amber was put on the ventilator. And we do mention her and we talk about how hopeful we are that she's going to wake up. I knew it was going to be hard to listen to, but I also wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to keep it in because I know it could be kind of painful. But after talking to the Patreon fam, and they were all there when we were recording, we decided to keep it in and to keep this episode as a dedication to Amber. And I am going to suck it up and edit. A lot of that has to do with Amber herself. She sent me a card a couple of months ago. I remembered it, so I reread it, and she says, quote, "Being a part of your podcast has been such a joy, and I can't wait to see how much it grows in 2021. I know you'll get the things you want and more because you deserve them," end quote. So I can't keep growing, and I can't keep reaching for these dreams if I'm not putting out episodes. So here we are. This is Inventions Part 1 with my special guest, Thanks, I Hate It. I absolutely adore them, and you will too. Take it away, Pasquina. Welcome to Historical AF Friends. I'm Kina.
I'm Windsor.
And I'm Brittany.
We are a historian and some special guests here to deliver some eerie and random historical invention nuggets you never knew you needed in your ear holes. This is Inventions and or Inventors Part 1. Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be a doozy.
It's going to be a something.
Yeah, definitely something.
Inventors are some eccentric people. Inventions can be super weird. So I'm excited.
Yes. If you've ever had a 5-year-old invent something for a school project.
Do they still do Invent America? Those competitions for inventions?
I have no idea.
So listen, I don't know if they... No, sorry, I didn't mean to put my hand up like that. But...
No, I love it.
I don't know if they still do that. But when I was in, I want to say 4th or 5th grade, I was a part of an invention project. And so I was a really hairy child. I don't know what's going on. I think it's like the German on my mother's side or something.
Oh, it's definitely the German.
Mm-hmm. And so I made this like razor that attached to the end of like a shaving cream can. And I just want you to know that I saw something like that in the store, and whoever invented that, I would like them to give me my money, because while it sounds a little bit odd and a little bit random, it was a little bit mine.
You did it relate so hard to that. I did Invent America twice, and both inventions you can buy now. And it's like, mother, why didn't you patent that shit?
Immediately.
I would be rich now and not the pores.
Yeah, we actually did in, I believe it was our Black Excellence episode. We talked about the woman who invented the toilet paper holder.
No, right? It was the sanitary belt.
Yeah, the sanitary
belt. Which is like the prototype that began like pads and other periods.
In like the 20s or 30s. And because she was, everybody's like, oh, yes, we love it. She came in to pitch it and they saw the color for skin. They're like, it's not the right time for that right now.
And it's not you, it's me.
30 years later, it was all the rage.
Of course.
Because periods were still happening.
Imagine. Why do we still have these? It's 2021.
Don't we invent these out?
There's some comedian that's like, if men had to have periods, they would have cured that shit decades ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that is so true.
That is so true.
They had cramps. They would be gone.
Like, you know what? Get it in the lab. This is a first priority. We've got to get this funded and taken care of. No question.
I know what they probably used to treat it?
Cocaine.
Morphine. No, I went the wrong way. Went the wrong way. It's always cocaine. Cocaine is always the answer.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
We mentioned your podcast, but tell them what your podcast is.
So we are Thanks I Hate It. We're two friends that love to get online. Our episodes come out every Tuesday. We talk about social issues in a way that we feel is funny. I don't know if our listeners think it's funny, but we think it's hilarious. So basically what we do is every week we take one social issue. It could be big, it could be small, it could be left, it could be right. It's usually left though. And we dissect it. We will each bring our own bit of information. I tend to go more research heavy. I want a little bit more history. I want a little bit more, academic paper. Doesn't mean I'm going to quote it accurately or give you real information. It's just, however I interpret it. And then Windsor will bring more examples, more real life context. We put that together into a podcast. We talk about why we hate the issue because newsflash, the podcast is called Thanks I Hate It. So it's usually something that we hate, like castle doctrine, racism and sexism and
implicit bias.
Explicit bias, things like that. Once a month, we will do a true crime supernatural episode, but just like with our main episodes, we are also still picking out that very real social issue. Generally, usually it's a little bit smaller in our supernatural true crime episodes, but it's still there. It's still something that one of us will at least address. So it's very much
just fun. So.
Yeah. So we do have a few fun episodes right after the election, but before the results. We were meant to record an episode, and our episodes, even though there's funny most of the time, sometimes they can get really heavy. And so we decided we weren't even going to do any real research. We were just doing straight up making the other person laugh. And I think we started laughing maybe 30 seconds in, and the episode was entitled Try Not to Laugh. Did not work. Laughing the whole time.
Mostly Florida men.
Florida men.
Lots of Florida men doing Florida man things, but every now and again. So it's kind of like, what is that thing called?
Hodgepodge.
There we go. I was going to say a quilt. It's a cocaine of things that come together every Tuesday.
Yeah,
and speaking of cocaine, we'll do an episode on that one time too.
And speaking of cocaine, we'll do cocaine.
No, we don't do cocaine. If our bosses are listening,
we don't do cocaine.
We don't do cocaine.
This will make sense once you hear what their topic is later.
Yes.
This is your brain.
And it's not cocaine.
This is your brain on drugs.
We are not talking about the invention of cocaine. So
that would be a good one though.
Yeah, it would be.
Missed part 2.
Opportunity.
I will say, I am curious because I listened to y'all. So 2020 was a dumpster fire, and being a social commentary podcast, has it been draining on you guys? Have you find yourselves trying to find more humor in things just because the world around us is garbage? Because I can imagine it's a lot.
I think we were draining on 2020. We went in real hard when we started doing our podcast. We were very focused on these are our social issues. We talked, I feel like, a lot about COVID, a lot about voting, and a lot about what was our first step? Oh, we did toxic fandom. So that was kind of fun and cheeky. But then after toxic fandom, we went immediately into, all right, so these are the problems with COVID and how they're doing it at school. These are the problems with da-da-da-da. And I low-key felt, I don't know, I felt like we were on a John Levitt podcast or something. We were going real hard, real fast, except it wasn't as funny. So we did kind of take a decline, or we kind of chilled out from doing things that were so heavy so often, because it got to be this is supposed to be our escape. This is supposed to be us getting out of that COVID experience. So I went through a major move and then a major depressive episode right after that move in 2020. And so we needed to get out of that space. And so now we do usually once, maybe twice a month, we'll do a really heavy episode. We're still going to laugh in it because that's who we are. We can't turn that off. But then for the rest of the month, we'll do that true crime episode, and then usually something funnier or lighter. So it's learning to balance
we did black
that.
Tack,
and pink tack.
Where it's a serious issue, but it's not so mentally and emotionally draining. When you're talking about, police brutality, that is extremely draining. And you're talking about, COVID that's extremely draining. So we'll just have a little bit of fun with it. Like, and during Halloween, we had a blast.
I don't know. We must have been on cocaine for real in Halloween, because we were doing 2 full episodes every week for the entire month of October. And that was only our second month into the podcast. And so it was just like, bam, bam, bam. I don't know how we got those edited. I don't know how we got those recorded. We were doing like 3 hours every Saturday night to get everything done. And so I feel like we kind of turned a corner when we realized, okay, so we're going to keep doing this. We like doing this. We like our podcast. We're going to dial it back a little bit. But then the social issues we are bringing up, you're not seeing them as much on the news. You're not hearing as much about them.
Yeah.
You're having to really go dig to get that information. So we're at least giving that a platform. So we've been
that's really good.
balancing.
Yeah.
Especially having a social commentary podcast, it'd be a bit different from what I do, because I try to stick with super old things so that I don't necessarily have to. I do find it kind of hard to navigate the waters when you're doing, say a true crime podcast, doing a case of people that are still alive and the victims' families are still alive. And that's got to be super difficult. And then a lot of the social issues that we're having, as a white woman, sometimes I'm like, I'm not really the voice anybody needs to hear. I just want to elevate other voices. So I know it must be really difficult. And I just applaud you guys because you have a lovely podcast and I really do enjoy it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We love that.
Although
And
I do have, okay, your
Say
urban legend episode, the trigger warning for the spider and the cheek thing came after you talked about
I know.
because I'm driving and I was like, what in the absolute
I was
hell?
yelling at her. I was like, excuse me.
So when you heard trigger warning, that was her yelling at me, because I'm very like straight into the point. Like, this is the story, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's the line of work that I'm in, maybe it's like, these are the facts. Do you want these facts or not? You don't want them? I'm sorry, you're getting them. And so we're just like, back it up. Back it all the way up. So the episode that we're doing next week is it's a re-release of our vampires episode, and Windsor has to do that again in that episode, because I'm just like, here are the facts. And she's just like, wait a minute. Dial it back.
Something about
my bad.
Gave me the creepy
And then every
crawlies.
now and then you have to get the trigger warning. Not even really a trigger warning, but just like a dumbass warning.
Well, we were talking about current issues. We were talking about COVID. I've mentioned in the last couple of episodes that one of our listeners, part of the Gigwater gang and Patreon fam, and she was the guest on episode 81, Amber. So you know her from somewhere. She's really active on social media. So you guys have probably talked to her. She was put on a ventilator this week and she's been in a induced coma. And then today I heard that she's in critical condition. So if everybody, just whatever you believe in, if you could pray, light a candle. I listened to a Jewish hymn of healing yesterday and I tried the Hebrew, but it was awful. And I almost recorded it for Amber when she woke up because I knew it would make her laugh, but I forgot.
Is she Jewish?
No.
No.
But just the absolute butchering of Hebrew for me was probably humorous because my sister just converted to Judaism.
Try some Arabic because it's Ramadan right now, you know.
Yeah. So just all over. I know we got a lot of pagans
candles
in the Patreon fam, so they are all doing their thing. And I know like the agnostics are just sending all their healing energy, and the witches are lighting candles. And just if everybody can, just do your thing. She is such a good person. I know that it's an internet thing, right? Like, I met her through the podcast, but she's been more supportive and more lovely than half the people I know in my real life. She's
Me and Brittany met in the internet.
Yeah, and internet friends are the best friends, And she's just so funny and so wonderful. Just all of us together, I think we can just send her all the love she needs to fight this, because she's very stubborn. She's got that Louisiana fire in her,
Yes, Raging Cajun.
Yes, she's a fighter, So I almost didn't know if I was going to be able to get through this episode, but then everybody reminded me that she'd kick my ass if I canceled. So we're gonna try to have some laughs and do a good episode. And this is just all for you, Amber. So when you wake up, you can listen to this and be like, "That's me! Yay!
Yeah,
lots of cocaine for you."
Lots of cocaine for you. All of the cocaine. If that's what you want
when you wake up, by all means, we all know that.
Absolutely. And as soon as you're up and everything's safe, We are gonna just go hang out and give you a big hug, and I will bring all the tacos. She was craving Taco Bell, and they would not let her have any. I'll bring you whatever tacos you want.
Right. That is so rude.
Patreon has been the most incredible. I say it all the time. The community is insane, but everybody has just gotten together to put together anything from just a sweet message to chipping in to get her this incredible care package, and then also chipping in to help, like maybe a cleaning service because she was picked up by an ambulance in her house. She's worried about it being a mess. So just the fact that so many kind people are doing so many kind things for her and her boyfriend, who, you know, it's got to be so hard on him. And he also lost his father this week. So sending all the love to you, Joseph, too. I don't think you listen to this. He thinks my name is Quinoa, and I think that's hilarious. But
that's not your name.
Quinoa.
Wait a minute.
All the love to him, too, because I can't imagine dealing with a loss during this and then still being worried about your person. Mm-hmm. I lost my dad at the same age, and that's all I had to worry about, and that still sucked. So, yeah, it's really heavy, and just, again, everybody do a little prayer. And I was telling them, and I'll tell you guys, so one of the Patreon fam, she just became a deacon, and she's about to become a full-ass priest. You guys met her in the religions episode, but I was talking about how I'm kind of in this weird limbo with religion because I don't know. You know, when you study history, you hear about all the bad things about people making things up, you know, and like how churches are. And my dad and my grandparents are both in cults, so that's a whole nother story. But religion's just been a weird thing to me, so I just casually slipped that in.
This is not funny.
I know, you have to laugh. Like, that's the only way life, you know, you got to laugh because otherwise you're crying. So I told her that, and I was afraid that God would be like, new phone, who dis? Because I'm not in church. And this was her response. And if anybody needs to hear this, I just thought, you know, you'd have to. So sorry, Marie, I'm reading your text. It says, honey, trust me. Like Dolly says in Steel Magnolias, quote, God don't care where you are as long as you show up. That's all prayer is, really. Just showing up and offering to God the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I just started blubbering. And I was like, you're going to be the best priest ever.
That's so awesome. I loved that.
Yes, we need a lot more good priests in this world. Good religious leaders in general, not just
absolutely. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I've already cried on TikTok.
So should we bring it to cocaine?
All right. So I am going to kick us off with some eerie. Side note, I'm trying not to say spooky anymore because somebody on TikTok told me that there were racial implications of spook, and then I did research, and it's true. And so I'm not going to say that anymore.
Side note, real quick before you start. So I thought that, but I was also like, there's got to be intention behind it for, in my opinion. And so my opinion is not all opinions, even though I would like it to be. But I don't know. I'm very big intention. Like, is it your intention to be like that?
Yeah.
But I do love that you heard something and then you were like, I'm going to make a necessary change for me to feel comfortable doing this. Like, that's so positive.
Thank you. Yeah, I am a big believer in get educated and then, you know, do better. So that's what I'm definitely trying to do. And I will be switching everything over slowly. But I feel like eerie fits better because some things are not very scary, you know? We're talking about conspiracies or just some weird shit. So we're going to call it eerie now. So I'm going to start with a quote, and then I'm going to see if you can guess what inventor I'm talking about.
You know we can't.
Nope.
And this is a quote about the person, not from the person. If that's
okay.
Okay.
Quote. It takes 1,000 men to invent a telegraph or a steam engine or a phonograph or a photograph or a telephone or any other important thing. And the last man gets the credit. And we forget about all the others. He added a little of his might. That's all he did. These object lessons should teach us that 99 parts of all things that proceed from the intellect of plagiarisms, pure and simple, and the lesson ought to make us modest, but nothing can do that. And that's from Mark Twain.
He's obviously talking about New Maine on TikTok, who is stealing everybody's content.
1,000%. That is it.
Okay, wait a minute. So it's eerie. So that's my problem because I had a few people in mind, like the guy whose name I can't remember now that I almost did, who accidentally invented hair relaxer. But that's Lewis Latimer. Final answer. Boom.
No.
So I was going to say Thomas Edison.
Something Bell?
Alexander Graham Bell.
No, Marie's right.
Yeah.
Marie in the comments for the
Damn
win.
it.
It is Thomas Edison.
She is so smart.
She is so smart.
Well-rounded.
So, yes, Thomas Alva Edison. I didn't know that was his middle name, and I dig it.
Ooh.
So we're just going to call him Al.
Al!
Yeah, so I figured if you're at home listening to this, the plagiarism probably gave it away. He's got a reputation of stealing some shit, you know? He's very...
Welcome to capitalism.
Yes. Yes. So this is a very brief history of him, and then we'll go into a little eerie invention that most people don't know he did.
Yes.
Okay.
Alrighty. So Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11th, 1847 in Milan, Ohio. I had to look that
Get
up.
off my lawn.
Milan.
You kids, get off my lawn.
So in 1854, he was just 7 and the family moved to Michigan, where Edison spent the rest of his childhood. Al, as he was called by his family as well, so I'm not very creative, didn't go to school for very long because he did very badly, not so great. And his mother decided that she was going to teach him because she was a former teacher. And she's like, I can handle his shit. It's fine. I got this. He later said, quote, "My mother was the making of me. She understood me and she let me follow my bent." So I thought that was kind of sweet, you know? That's how I feel about my mom. Okay, listen, I don't know how I'm smart. And I say that in all honesty because the school I went to, I don't recall ever learning anything. Like, I remember watching more movies and playing Frisbee. And
It was Schoolhouse Rock.
like, me and my sister were having this conversation.
Junction. What's your function?
But for real, okay, so my physics teacher didn't know physics. We spent most of the time playing Frisbee. And then I had a Spanish teacher that didn't know Spanish. And we spent the most that time watching movies. And then she had a chemistry, but our school was too poor to have actual chemicals. So they also played Frisbee. Like, how are we smart? I don't know. And like, how did we survive college? Because we were not prepared.
What the hell was this school? What?
Okay, so like calling that out. But yeah, the school had probably 500 people from like kindergarten to, 12th grade. So it was tiny and it was poor. Yeah, it was great. It's hillbilly school. But the thing that we both have decided is because my mom would see us be interested in something and buy us a book, and that's what he did. Like, his mom would buy him books and he learned by himself. And that's how I feel like I relate to him a little bit here.
Shout out to your mom for buying you all of these books to make sure that you had what you needed.
Absolutely. Like, there's
like
no
little
way.
Matilda at the library.
Yeah. There would be no way I'd be a historian without my mom, because all my history teachers sucked. They were all like coaches, because they didn't want to pay extra.
Yes.
So there's no way I would have if she hadn't have like fostered that. So thanks, Mom. She listens.
Now I'm imagining you and Thomas Edison as little Matildas. Like, this might be something that I try to edit together when we get off of here. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And he does credit his love of reading for being as smart as he is, and he kept that habit the rest of his life. He also liked to experiment in the basement. Can't relate. I didn't have a basement, but also I didn't have access to chemicals like he somehow did. I don't know. He's just blowing shit up, and everybody's like, "That's cool. Little Eddie, you do your
boys
thing."
will be boys.
That's exactly what they said. Oh my gosh, he burned the house down again. Boys will be boys. It's fine.
And he also respected the hustle. At the age of 12, he sold fruit, snacks, and newspapers on the train as a news butcher. He even printed his own newspaper eventually, called the Grand Trunk Herald, on a moving train.
Okay, so that is on capitalism. Wow.
Right?
That'd be amazing.
What 12-year-old has the business acumen to be like, I will start my own business?
The answer is none. Literally none. Give me some money. I need some Robux. That's what we hear a lot of. You don't hear a lot of, I'm going to enterprise and get my own money. Oh,
to make
So
that
they
more.
do try to figure out how to hustle to get Robux, though.
Mm-hmm.
And they always think that they're going to make so much money. Like, I'm going to sell this game to GameStop. Dude, you're going to get $1.20.
I will say I ran a teen center and it was 12 through 18. And those kids could get super creative to come up with money for their video games. Like, they knew the hustle. I had respect.
I gotta love
the
that.
more impressive part of this whole train thing is he also set up a laboratory in the baggage car.
Okay.
I feel like it would shake a lot, and those chemicals need to be pretty stable.
Well, he wasn't making meth, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't know because my school couldn't afford chemistry. So, but I've seen TV, and usually you can't shake shit up. So, you know,
I'm feeling a lot of danger in this area of history.
Danger.
That's some good intuition because he had an accidental fire and they made him stop.
Damn it.
We had an episode about that too.
Accidental fires?
No, intuition.
Oh. I thought you were going to go meth lab. And I'm like, oh, yeah, where I grew up, there was a lot of those explosions.
Oh, yeah. We got plenty of those.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. In a less funny note, this was about the time he started to lose his hearing, which I don't think I knew he was mostly deaf. I don't think that's been a tidbit that I've really learned before, but I guess.
I'm shaking my head like I knew. I think I knew, but honestly, I probably didn't.
Me too. I'm like,
the theories are he might have lost it because he had scarlet fever, which, fun fact or not so fun fact, I had scarlet fever when I was in elementary school, which is like the weirdest shit. Like, who gets scarlet fever? Fucking
that's like getting rheumatic fever now.
What is happening?
Is the devil. I don't know.
With polio.
Yeah, well, that was luckily eradicated, or they probably would have had that too. Yeah, I had scarlet fever and had like 104 temperature, and my mom had to dunk me in like an ice bath. It was awful. That's all I remember. I've blocked it all out.
She didn't read you the Velveteen Rabbit, did she?
Does not ring a bell.
Okay, because that'd be kind of cruel to read that book to you while you have scarlet fever.
Well, no, we were reading Little House on the Prairie during that time, and freaking sister lost her eyesight from scarlet fever. And the whole time I was like, I'm gonna go blind. And my mom was like, calm the fuck down. And it was just like a whole thing. I don't know how I managed to be like the only person I know to ever have that, but I did. There was also another incident where he was grabbed by the ears and lifted onto a train. And some people were like, well, maybe that made him deaf. But I think the scarlet fever sounds kind of like the more.
Ow.
I don't know. Maybe if they busted his eardrum, they might not have known.
I can't.
But I'm not
that
sure.
That can rip your ears off your head.
Mm-hmm. It's no bueno.
His ears were cut off.
Oh, Murray.
No.
Oh, he just growled at the cat.
Oh, there is a cat. I thought I saw a tail.
Named him after Vlad because he's a murderer. He showed up one day just covered in blood, and I thought he was injured, and none of it was his blood, and I still don't know who he killed. So it's a mystery.
Start a podcast about it.
Snitch. Yep.
I should. There should just be
a podcast.
Oh, God, that's good.
We're turning this train around.
Back to train. Okay, so this quote's from the Library of Congress. Quote, his disability did not discourage him, and he often treated it as an asset that allowed him to concentrate on his experiments and research, end quote. Hella perspective for a 12-year-old to be like, I'm going deaf, but I just want to blow shit up in my chemistry set anyway, so it's fine.
That's definitely a 12-year-old boy thing.
And he was notoriously introverted and he hated people. So again, I can kind of relate to this guy, which I hate because I've conditioned myself to dislike him. But now I'm finding I have so much in common. It's very startling. By 15, he was essentially roaming the countryside as a, quote, tramp telegrapher using Morse code to send and receive messages over the telegraph. At 15, I could barely leave the house, and he's just traveling the American wilderness by train. I mean, there was no speak of family with him. He was just doing his hustling thing.
12, I was playing Barbie.
No, so my son is 15, and he has asked me 5 questions about, can I eat this? Do you think we can go to the store to get more Propel so that I can drink this water? Because I can't possibly drink it without something in it. Do you think we could go buy some chips? Do you think I should go outside? So I'm trying to imagine him in a situation where he's roaming the countryside. It's not, they don't build kids the same anymore.
Yeah, with a full-time job too. Like,
right?
That's a lot of responsibility, even for me.
My son would get kicked off the train because he'd be like, would you rather get $1 million or fight a shark?
Obviously, get the $1 million. What?
Oh, that one's an easy one.
Yeah. Come on, Elijah. Get it together.
Oh, man. So even though he had trouble hearing, he could actually hear the clicks of the telegraph. So that was something that he didn't have trouble with. Which my dad was born premature, so he was mostly deaf, but there were certain noises he could hear really well. He just couldn't understand certain tones, and he had trouble hearing some voices and stuff. So I can understand how like certain clicks and stuff would be easier to hear.
Right.
But this is also way before hearing aids and stuff, so that must have been really difficult.
Yeah.
My dad also credits his lack of hearing for not getting murdered by John Wayne Gacy because that was his neighbor. He's like, if he tried to kill me, I wouldn't have hurt him anyway. I'm like, oh, Dad.
Oh, Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, Dad.
So in the next 7 years, he moved over a dozen times, often working all night, taking messages for trains, and even for the Union Army during the Civil War.
You see what side he fought on?
Mm-hmm.
The Union side, or whatever he was doing. I said fought.
In his spare time, he took things apart to see how they worked, and then he finally decided, I'm going to make stuff myself. I'm going to be an inventor.
Magic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like really smart people that are, what side of the brain is that? Right? Left? No, right side? Isn't that the math science side?
I think so. And then the left side, I'm pretty sure, is like the artsy fartsy side.
I think so. The opposite of me brain are the people that like to do that. You know, people like take things apart and see how it works. Like my husband took that car apart and just made a new one. He wired it without having to look anything up. I don't understand it. My brain does not work that way.
No,
so it's very impressive. So after the failure of his first invention, the electronic vote recorder, he moved to New York City, which I had to look this up. So this recorder read either yes or no, and it was to replace handwriting. But Washington officials hated it because they thought it would disrupt their voting process.
I bet they did think it was going to disrupt their voting process. I bet they did find an issue with it.
Yep. I was like, oh, history repeats itself.
Oh, my goodness.
So he vowed he would never again invent something that didn't have an apparent market.
Oh, fuck.
He was like, that wasn't my crowd. I'm moving on.
Like, I will, you know what? I'm never... That's like me when I say something to somebody and they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, you know what? He didn't love it. He didn't love it. Go exponentially wild about it. I'm done. Never again.
Yeah.
But he did move to New York. He improved the stock ticker. And that was his big break. And this thing I had to do a Goog. They were a special type of telegraph receiver designed to print on alphabetical like company symbols.
Stock ticker like the stock market?
That's what I thought, but no, it's just like a telegraph type thing, Majig.
I mean, that's still cool. I just was a little bit down about it. Okay. It looks like a very pretty decoration.
It is.
Mm-hmm. It looks like he's about to like make some string.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Like yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a paper, like a sticker tape that went in there, and then that would print on it, the words. So he worked for the Gold and Stock Telegraph Company. So thanks, American Museum of American History, for this photo and for telling me what this was, because I had no idea. Because I also thought stock market, it's New York, but no.
Or something from the Goonies, either that.
Yeah. And he also improved the telegraph. He made it where it could send up to 4 messages at once.
Ooh, that's like a group text message.
Right? Did it cost 10 cents each way? Was it free after 7?
Yes. He created the Nokia phone.
Oh man, those
Nextel
structural.
The city bus with people talking in their Nextels. I blame him for that.
So during this time, he married his first wife, Mary Stillwell, on Christmas Day, 1871. They had 3 children, Marion, Thomas Jr., and William.
Aww.
Wanting a quieter spot to do more inventing, he moved from Newark to Menlo Park. Am I saying that right, in New Jersey? Menlo?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And that was 1876. And it was there that he built his famous laboratory. Laboratory. So he was not alone in Menlo Park. Edison hired muckers, quote unquote, to help him out. And these came from all over the world to make their fortune in America. They often stayed up all night working with, he called himself the chief mucker. And they also called him the Wizard of Menlo Park, which I just find a little ridiculous. He probably called himself that. And it's like, let's make this catch on.
Yep. He's like, you know what? Everybody's saying this, and they're like, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not gonna happen.
Like, for real, everybody says this. You just say it, please. just do this.
I'm going to put it in my stock ticker, and then it's going to come out the other way, and just read it when it comes out.
I said what I said.
So he created 2 of his 3 greatest works there. So the phonograph was the first machine that could record the sound of someone's voice and play it back. In 1877, Edison recorded the first words on a piece of tinfoil. He recited the nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb. And then the phonograph played the words back to him. This was invented by a man whose hearing was so poor, he thought he was pretty much deaf. So fun fact, Al suggested using hello when he picked up the phone. He was the first person to say that. Before then, everybody would be like, are you there? Or do I get you when they answered? So he's one like, hello is more efficient. Let's just say one thing.
Okay.
Which is fun because that's what most of us say today. Unless I'm trying to be super fancy. And then I'll be like, Kina speaking or something. I don't know. I sound stupid when I say it, but
I just answer yeah.
No, I'm trying to get out of answering yeah. So on my work phone, I have a very firm greeting. And it's very firm. It's too firm, I've been told. And I just say like my title and my last name. I'm like, da-da-da-da, Brittany or Willingham. And they're just like, oh. So when I answer my personal phone, I do say hello. If I answer it, I don't answer it a lot. So yeah, I try to kick it old school and go with a nice, gentle hello.
From 1878 to 18, I didn't finish that number. Whoops.
So 18 something.
I just went 188. I don't know which one.
For a couple of years.
18. Fill in the blank. You know what? It is your turn to do some homework.
Yeah.
Listeners can figure it out.
So around 1878, Edison and his associates worked on one of his greatest achievements. They had at least 3,000 different theories on how to develop the efficient incandescent light bulb.
Okay.
Yeah, 3,000 theories. And others had worked on it, so he wasn't the first one. But they were too expensive or burned out really fast, so they just weren't working on the things that existed. So he set about creating one that was practical and fixed these problems. And many of those men who pioneered the light bulb before Edison, like Joseph Swan, actually openly admired his solution, to a very tough engineering problem. And he thought of everything. Like he even sought out like vegetation from the Amazon or whatever to see like what would work as a filament. So he spent a lot of time trying to fix that problem. And he also designed a system of power plants that make electrical power and the wiring that brings it to people's homes. So he had a lot of ideas. So a lot of the things that we have today is because of he took something somebody else did and then kind of fixed their problems, but he gets all the credit for it. Therein lies a lot of the problems with Edison.
Typical man.
Yeah. So in 1885, 1 year after his first wife died, Edison met a 20-year-old woman named Mina Miller. Her father was an inventor in Edison's home state of Ohio, and he taught her Morse code. And I thought this was kind of cute. Aww. So even when other people were around, they could talk to each other secretly through Morse code. They're like tapping on their hands and stuff. Aww. And then one day he typed, "Will you marry me?" And she typed back, "Yes."
Aww.
That's so sweet. And there's actually a scene in 30 Rock like that. What's his name? Alec Baldwin's girlfriend. It's a wild ride to get to the scene. So there's a lot going on. But basically, she has this whole Morse code conversation with the man that she ends up marrying. It's a comedy show, so it was a very dirty conversation they were apparently having with Morse code. But this was something that was enacted on television. How cute.
That is cute. It's very romantic. Mina wanted a home in the country, so he bought Glenmont, a 29-room home. Wowza. With 13 and a half acres. Right?
Damn.
I'll take one. And they married on February 24th, 1886, and they had 3 children also, Madeline, Charles, and Theodore. And then Theodore. And then a year later, he built the laboratory in West Orange that was 10 times larger than his one before. That's so big. In fact, it was the largest laboratory in the world. I just think like mad scientists every time I see laboratory.
Like, we'll invent everything.
We're pinky in the brain. We're pinky in the brain.
Oh, solid cartoon. So this lab was equipped with a machine shop, a phonograph, a photograph department, a library, ancillary buildings for metallurgy, chemistry, woodworking, and galvanometer testings, which I didn't know what that was. And that's an instrument for detecting and measuring small electric currents.
Okay.
So he was decked out. And well into the night, laboratory buildings glowed with electric light while the wizard and his muckers turned Edison's dreams into inventions. Once Edison worked for 3 days straight, taking only short naps. He developed nearly half of his 1,093 patents while at West Orange.
Okay.
That's a lot of patents.
You know what it is, but if you can get it, I'm not going to fight you on it.
That's true. So not only did he improve the phonograph, like we said before, he also worked on x-rays, alkaline batteries, and he helped with the first talking doll, which I'm just not about. Talking dolls are all demons. That's just facts.
That's reality. I mean, there's nothing around that. That's just terrible.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Thomas Edison.
And also, okay, so this minor trigger warning, I'm not going to go into details. So West Orange is also where he experimented with electrocution as a more humane and efficient way to euthanize animals. And I just can't with this topic, so we're going to move on. But essentially, he was trying to be like, it's before this, they would either use drowning or hanging for animals, which is just freaking horrific. And then there's that whole thing on
one's worse than the other.
Yeah. So there's the whole thing on autopsy, and like historians are kind of all over the place because a lot of people blame Edison for electrocuting that elephant because the elephant was sentenced to death for killing 3 trainers. And newer people are saying that Edison didn't have anything to do with it, but he just had experimented with this and that's how they knew to do it. But I don't want to talk about the elephant because I love elephants. But if you do want to read on it, there's an article. It's edison.rutgers.edu/topsy.htm, and it's in the show notes. You can read on it. It's really interesting, but it's just also a lot of animal cruelty, and it makes me sad. It makes me more sad as they thought that they were being humane, and they were just not. So times have changed, and they didn't realize how bad it was, but it was still really horrible, and I just hate it. Anywho, at West Orange, he also worked for one of my favorite inventions, movies, motion pictures. Woo! Though it was actually invented by his associate, William K. L. Dixon, Edison took credit for that, and the kinetograph, a motion picture camera, and the kinetoscope, a motion picture peephole viewer. And I talked about all this in really, really fine detail in the movie episode, so you can go back and listen to that. So when Dixon aided competitors, when they were developing another one, he helped, and then Edison fired him, and it was like a whole thing. During the 1920s, Edison spent much of his time at home, and he continued to experiment. On October 14th, 1931, he lapsed into a coma, and he died 4 days later at his estate in Glenmont in West Orange, New Jersey. During his lifetime, he managed to become not only the most renowned inventor in the world, but also a prominent manufacturer and a businessman through merchandising of his inventions. So the whole world called him a genius, unless you're one of the people he stole stuff from. And which is also ironic because one of his most popular quotes is, quote, genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. So that's kind of interesting. To him, he just thought he was, improving things, but a lot of people kind of got stepped on. So, but that's just history, the people that get credit.
That's just capitalism.
It's true.
Yes. That is on capitalism.
So Leonard DeGraff, who's an archivist at the Thomas Edison National Historical Park in New Jersey and the author of Edison and the Rise of Innovation, put it pretty well. He says, quote, though the light bulb, the phonograph, and moving pictures are touted as Edison's most important inventions, other people were already working on similar technologies. If Edison hadn't invented those things, other people would have. So even his archivist is like, obviously these things were going to happen no matter what. He was just able to perfect them before everybody else. And then he got all the credit. Yeah, so you can all have a good idea, and that's why a lot of people want to get patents, because then you get credit and then people can add on to your patent. But you have to have your
or you can sell it and make a lot of money,
or make not a lot of money.
Yeah, then don't sell it.
It's true.
And then somebody in some rinky-dink sweatshop is just going to steal it anyway. So what does it matter?
That's true. So plot twist, and the whole point of this whole segment, because I said it was eerie, In the late 1920s, not long before his death, Thomas Edison reportedly gathered with scientists from all over in a secret laboratory to record voices in the presence of the dead.
Oh, no.
Dun, dun.
Oh, he made an EVP?
Yeah. They used speakers, generators, and other experimental equipment. Modern Mechanics magazine alleged after the fact in October 1933. I can English. Fuck. All right. The magazine article described Edison's machine in which a tiny pencil of light coming from a powerful lamp bored through the darkness and struck the active surface, which could detect the smallest particle. These particles would be proof of the afterlife, physical bits of the human personality left in the atmosphere waiting to be discovered. Unfortunately, after tense hours spent watching the delicate instruments, nothing happened. Which is why the magazine adds, we've never heard of this, because it was just a big womp womp, you know. Yeah.
I'm imagining them sitting in there for hours waiting for this thing to move.
Yeah, they seem pretty confident that it would.
What a letdown.
So disappointing. But there are scientists. I mean, any scientist has failed. Every experiment's failed before you get it right. So
That's
I'm sure
right.
they were just like, and that's just part of the game. But full disclosure, that specific account might have been some paranormal propaganda for the magazine's October issue.
Damn it.
So it can go either way here. It's unclear if that exact scene occurred. There's ample proof that Edison was interested in speaking to the dead through technology. So it's not completely made up. In 1920, the inventor shocked the public when he told American magazine's Scientific America, quote, "I have been at work for some time building an apparatus to see if it's possible for personalities which have left this earth to communicate with us," end quote. He added that this new invention would not function by any occult, mystifying, mysterious, or weird means employed by so-called mediums, but by scientific methods. He also said, "I am engaged in the construction of one such apparatus now, and I hope to be able to finish it before very many months pass." So it seems like he was on to something.
He definitely was
Zach
involved
Baggins got
in
it.
it. Yes.
Yeah. And fun fact, after this interview, the magazine received over 600 letters to the editor of people just obsessed with this idea. But this is also 1920. And if you listen to the Games Part 1 episode, when I talk about spiritualism and the Ouija board, after wars, people are super into contacting the dead because so many people died. So it makes sense that this time period would be the one where people are like, yes, give me that right now. I need it.
Give it to me.
This idea became known as a spirit phone, which, you know.
What? Wait. What?
The idea became known as the spirit phone.
Okay.
And a lot of historians for a while thought this invention was a joke or a hoax, since there were no blueprints, no prototypes, and nobody's ever actually found a spirit phone. And some historians argue that Edison was trying to use this to take advantage of the people suffering and grieving the loss of their dear ones during World War I. But again, like, historians can be biased because there's a lot of people that hate Edison and love Tesla. And those people are really hard on Edison. So you kind of have to pick and choose your sources and read a bunch of them to kind of differentiate. So I added that just because that is a thought in the community, but I don't buy it because it's very... I mean, he didn't like people, but he never invented things just to purposely hurt anybody before this. So why would he start now? So while he might not have actually contacted the dead, there's evidence that he experimented with the idea. In 2015, okay, this is about to be some French, and I'm going to butcher it.
Yes, let's do it.
Journalist Philippe Baudouin found a rare version of Edison's diary in a thrift store in France. Can you imagine finding Thomas Edison's goddamn diary in a thrift store?
So I feel like I would think it was fake. Like, what dumbass kid did this?
I would still buy it.
Oh, of course, still buy it.
And be like, oh, how much is this? Okay.
1,000%. But I that's my dream, is to find either a lost piece of art or something like a book, become a millionaire. That happened to one of my professors when I was in college. She was the expert in this guy named Simeon Solomon. He was the first openly gay Jewish artist. And she became an expert in him and found one of his lost paintings and then sold it at friggin' what is it, Christie's in London for like $8.something million.
Brilliant.
What? Anyhow, Thomas Edison. So this version of the diary includes a chapter that was not printed in the widely known version of it.
Ooh.
So the missing chapter was dedicated to the theory of the spirit world and how it might be possible to contact it. This chapter also shows that he made a pact with an engineer working with him, William Walter Dinwiddie.
That's my cousin.
That whoever would die first would try to send the other a message from the beyond.
Okay.
So
we planned that too.
I mean, everybody should have a person to do that with. It just makes sense to me.
Very much.
So today, there's probably a lot of people that would be more skeptical about a spirit phone. But in the 1920s, the idea really slapped because spiritualism, everybody was into it. It was going strong in the United States. And they even called themselves phone voyants.
That's so cute.
It's adorable. And they claimed that they could harness the electric signals in conventional phones to interpret spirits.
They're going to make that hotline bling.
And also during this time, radio was super hot. So the idea of information traveling wirelessly through space and time made perfect sense to them. And they're like, well, why couldn't it work for dead people too? It works for us. And I mean, radio was still so new. People didn't quite understand that either. And it has a lot of appeal. If you lose somebody, you want to talk to them. And, if it's a new grief, you're desperate. So you'll do anything. Edison believed that life was indestructible and that the quantity could never be increased or decreased. He theorized that, like our bodies, our personalities have a physical form made of tiny entities similar to our current view of atoms. So he thought these entities might exist after humans pass away and that our personalities are essentially residue of memories and thoughts and they're just floating around us. And he's like, I just want to catch that. I just need a little bit of it. And if these particles existed, he reasoned that they could collect them and they could amplify them in his device. So that's just kind of an interesting theory. Instead of just like a spirit, just little particles of your personality. I wonder if you have a big personality if your particles are bigger. Because some people are just like,
I have big particles and a big personality.
And I did see that he corresponded with British inventor Sir William Crookes, who claimed to have captured images on spirit photographs, which were also super hot at this time. And that supposedly encouraged him. So the first photos of ghosts, he was like, see, I'm on to something. We got this.
Spirit photographs, spirit phones. I just feel like we need one spirit cell phone. And then you can do two, one time. 2 birds, 1 stone.
And it's also really funny. Like, he's super into this, but he was really throwing shade at anybody else that believed in this. So he criticized unscientific qualities of mediums, and he called them crude and childless. It's not childless.
Crude and childless. How rude. Dang, that's super shady.
So since Edison's death in 1931, ghost communicating hopefuls have been looking for the blueprints because they want to make one and prove it. In 1941, researchers tried to replicate the spirit phone and call the inventor up after they believed they were instructed to do so by Edison's spirit via a medium, which he hated. Why would he talk to one he didn't believe in?
I was so excited, and then they just kind of deflated.
Yeah. Quote, alas, the contraption did not seem to successfully transmit any life units. That was from Stephen Palmieri, who writes this in the anthology Spirited Things. Sounds like a very solid, credible source.
Absolutely.
And people still want to use the technology for detecting and communicating with ghosts, though the gadgets have evolved. Like, we have EVP recorders now, electronic voice phenomenon, and some cost-minded ghost hunters use ghost detecting apps. Like, you can download those. And then in 2002, the late Frank Sumpton claimed ghosts could speak, just as spiritualists hoped for. And he used a special radio called Frank's Box. I guess it's kind of like a spirit box. And it was supposed to detect frequencies in the world beyond. So we don't know if Edison was correct. Nobody's going to know this. We don't know if our personalities have physical entities or whatnot, but people are still holding on to hope that his blueprints are somewhere lost, probably in some weird thrift shop somewhere. And that when we figure it out, we can talk to him. I mean, there's been a lot of people, like I said, 1941, somebody in a seance thought they talked to him. And another one in 1959 were like, we totally talked to him. But again, didn't pan out. Womp womp.
Womp womp.
So it's left to your imagination if you believe this or not. I want to believe. I do, but I've never. Science can pretty much explain a lot of it.
Not
like Ouija
everything.
boards.
No.
Yeah, like Ouija boards, a lot of science, a lot of other stuff. I mean, I've had experiences with like
Still not
vivid
messing with
dreams.
it.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't. Nope. Demons. No.
Because that'll be the one time something happens. The one time you say, you know what? I don't believe in this science. That's the one time.
Yeah. And I believe people that think they've, met a demon.
Yeah,
and I'm not messing with that.
the specific demon that is in that, which I'm not going to say their name.
Yeah, don't do that. No. Is it the ho-ho? Is it the ho-ho demon?
Basically, yes.
Yeah, I don't fuck with that guy. We just call him ho-ho because I think he's the one where if you say the name, he can show up. Yeah. I don't want to say it in my head. Nope.
So I'm glad that I don't know what you all are talking about, and I'm just going to stay on my side of things of not knowing.
I learned about it in a podcast.
So did I.
Shout out to him. That's why we drink.
All right.
That's where I learned it. I don't play that stuff.
Nope.
Shut it down.
I have a rosary. Not Catholic, but you never know.
I did it like 5 times, and I'm like,
you never know what I'm going to need.
It's true. All right. You guys ready?
Yes.
Talk about some cocaine.
Yes. We are not talking about the discovery of cocaine, though. I just want to make that very, very clear. So,
cocaine?
One, I like that you went first because I feel like if you're going to start with inventions and inventors, why not start with Thomas Edison, like the ultimate inventor of taking other people's shit. So that's not who I'm talking about today. I'm going to talk briefly about a person and then get into what they invented. So I am talking about John Stith Pemberton.
What a name.
Yeah. So, and the Stith is very important, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Okay. So Mr. Pemberton was born in 1831 in Knoxville, Georgia, not to be confused with Knoxville, Tennessee, which is what all of my notes say. He was not born in Tennessee. He was born in Knoxville, Georgia. This is about an hour and a half south of Atlanta, Georgia, which for anybody who doesn't know, Atlanta, Georgia and the rest of Georgia, 2 different places. They don't even have the same mother. They have the same father, not the same mother. So Mr. Pemberton was raised in Georgia, as yours truly was. He also went to pharmacy school. I don't know what the actual name of it is or was back in the day. And so I'm just going to call it pharmacy school. He went to pharmacy school. I didn't, which is where I went wrong. But he went to pharmacy school. He finished all of his pharmacy schooling and his medical degree by the age of 19. Unlike the people on our podcast who kind of got through high school by the age of 19, but we struggled. So Mr. Pemberton worked in medicine until the time that the Civil War broke out. So John Stith Pemberton joined the Confederacy. Boo, we hate it. And it is important. The Stith is important because there was a John C. Pemberton who also fought in the Civil War. He was a very prominent soldier in the Civil War. And actually, if we were the people that used Wikipedia for everything, this would have gotten me tripped up because what Wikipedia has is half of John C. Pemberton's bio under John Stith Pemberton. It's very mixed up. Also, I wrote jokes to myself in this, and it says...
I love it.
It says there are so many Johns in this story, it looks like an episode of Law & Order SVU. So... Mr. John Stith Pemberton, that's the one we're keeping. Mr. John C. Pemberton, we will see you later. So now I'm just going to call him Pemberton because we're not doing anything with this other guy anymore. So Pemberton rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel in the Confederacy. We still hate that. And literally hours before Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse, Pemberton was slashed across the chest with a saber in the Battle of Columbus. So this was considered the last great battle of the Civil War on the east of the Mississippi River. So this was literally the battle that was happening right before the surrender. So he slashed across the chest. Real quick, if you slash me across the chest, just kill me because I'm not coming back from this.
Yeah.
I'm not trying.
Mm-mm.
I'm not making any attempts. Just lay me out. Pemberton did not get laid out. He was still alive. So he survived, and he ended up with quite the morphine addiction.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He was on that stuff, but you know what? Again, he got sliced completely open across the chest. He survived, whatever. Not whatever.
Yeah.
It was a very big deal to him, obviously. Now he's addicted to morphine. Coming out of the Civil War, so many soldiers were addicted to morphine because one, you could get morphine. Opium was available. It was hot and ready like a Krispy Kreme donut. Like literally the hot light is on for opium, for morphine. You can get it everywhere. We're in an epidemic right now of opioids, and like this was another epidemic prior, but we're not doing as much work. Like you don't have Suboxone and methadone and naloxone, whatever. Then you literally just got to deal with it. And I will get to how he dealt with it in just a minute. So you can get this shit everywhere, and you don't need a prescription for it. And so real quick, I want to go into patent medicines because this is where the idea for Coca-Cola came from. The patent medicine industry. So patent medicines are trademarked medications that are basically a concoction of a variety of substances that are often considered to be exotic, which personally, I hate the word exotic because I just feel like it's placing something that you're not familiar with on this pedestal. And it's just like, it's so exotic. And it's like, actually, it's from Arkansas and it doesn't have to be exotic. But these medications that don't require a prescription are used to cure a variety of ailments. And so I hope that somebody else besides me will get this reference. But when I was reading about patent medications, I automatically thought of Pirelli's Miracle Elixir from Sweetie Todd. If you don't get it, boom! Windsor was like, I'm going to Google this. And I was like, God damn it. And I know she knows it. Like, if she was watching the movie, but it killed me. But if that's not your vibe, I think of like current day dietary supplements, anything that doesn't have to go through the FDA. I think of like essential oils where they're just like, just pour this essential oil in your bath and it'll cure your cancer or whatever they're saying. Snake oils, ginger ale and vapor rub. Listen, it doesn't cure everything. But that's basically what
blasphemy. Lies.
Mute yourself again, Windsor. We are not talking to you. Talking to you right now. We are talking about Coca-Cola. Basically, that is what your patent medicine is. You don't need a prescription. Anybody can get into the game. And so in the 1870s, Pemberton says, you know what? I'm tapping in. I've got this sick morphine addiction. I need some money for more morphine. I know I'm saying it like it's funny. It's not funny, but this is just reality. I need money in general because we have reached the Gilded Age of American history, and we've got immigration and urbanization and capitalism, and we've got all of these things happening all right now. We got to get some serious cash. So he says, I'm going to start working with locals in my area. I'm going to start working on my own. I'm going to do something to make some money. I'm getting in the patent game. Tag me in. So he starts working for a variety of different concoctions. Most of them do not pan out. In addition to making money with his future patent medicine, he hasn't come up with it yet. He's working on it. He's kind of like me when I'm like, I've got all these ideas, but I don't actually do it yet. That's where he's at. He's at the I've got an idea stage, but I haven't actually done it yet. So in addition to pre-planning on getting his patent medicine done.
Oh, hard relate. That's how I end up being.
It's hard. It's real hard. There's another reason that Pemberton wanted to work on a patent medication. And this other reason is actually how we got Coca-Cola. Pemberton, like I said, had this crazy morphine addiction. It wasn't crazy for the time, but it was pretty serious. He got slashed in the chest during the Civil War. He's experiencing a lot of pain. He's got to get through this. So he says, you want to know what? Why don't I make a patent medicine that will cure me of my morphine addiction? So then I don't have to go to a doctor. I don't have to deal with these other things. I can do it myself. Unfortunately, the way that he felt was going to help him cure that morphine addiction was getting cocoa leaves, which is the extract from them is what we get cocaine from. So if we take all of that, we cut out the middle pieces, he basically is trying to cure his morphine addiction with some cocaine. And that is why we continue to say cocaine, because that is what we are working with, literally.
Wow.
Cocaine. I know. I feel like I've never said cocaine so many times in my life.
I don't think I have either.
So Pemberton continues to work as a pharmacist because remember, he went to pharmacy school. He finished by the time he was 19, all throughout the 1870s. So he's also starting to work with local businesses in his area. Like, listen, do you want to team up with me? Let's make some money together. Cool. Let's mix some concoctions. Nothing really pans out. So there are a variety of reports on how he ended up with the concoction that became Coca-Cola. Some people paint him as like the mad scientist and he's got a lab and he's in there and he's mixing things together and poof, one day we've got Coca-Cola. Other people paint him as like this country farmer that's working in his backyard and he poof ends up with Coca-Cola. I think he's probably working in his backyard. It's the middle of Georgia. You do a lot of shit in your backyard. I do a lot of stuff in my backyard. So we're going to go with working in his backyard because there's so many mixed opinions. And this is my research. And so I said he was working in his backyard.
Yes.
Boom. I just changed history. He now watch. I'm going to find out later that he was in this like freaking lab. So he's working in his backyard. It's reported, so the date changes. I'm going to say sometime between the 1870s and the 1880s. A lot of places like to say 1886, but that's not the date, and I will tell you why in a minute. But Pemberton is mixing all this shit together because he's looking for an American alternative to Angelo Mireni's Vin Mireni Cocoa wine. Oh. It is a patent medication from French inventor and chemist. I'm sorry with my hands. I'm trying to get this out. He's a French inventor and chemist named Angelo Mireni. And I think I said that wrong so many times.
It sounds good to me.
Thank you. So
good enough.
Thank you. So it is a wine where he utilized the cocaine from the cocoa leaf and he sold it with the understanding that it will increase your appetite and your energy and your mood. And so he came up with this. Pemberton found out about it because while it was all the rage in Europe, it slowly came across the Atlantic Ocean. It came over here. Everything's chill. Everything's cool. And he's like, I want one of those. So he's in his backyard. He makes this concoction. He calls it Pemberton's French Wine Cocoa. So it's a drink made with wine, the cocaine or cocoa extract, and the cola nut. And this is a drink that would later become part of what we know as Coca-Cola. Pemberton marketed it as a patent medication used to cure nervous disorders, headaches, and other ailments. So like checking all my boxes. Bam, right. Bam, bam. I want some. I also wrote and erectile dysfunction, comma, or question mark. And apparently there were people and places that did market this while it was out as something that would help with your sexual drive. So, boom.
Like Energizer Bunny.
Exactly. I mean, cocaine is to stimulate. We're pumping blood. We're stimulating things. Just saying. So people are starting to get into this drink, including reportedly Ulysses S. Grant, who was drinking it while he was writing his autobiography. And so I thought that was very interesting. Like this little drink in Georgia is getting some traction. It's getting some play outside of Georgia. And it's made it all the way to Ulysses S. Grant.
I'm going to Google how fast he wrote that book tomorrow when I look at my note that I'm writing.
Like 3 minutes. He got this shit done immediately because he was drinking Pemberton French wine cocoa.
I hope somebody recorded how fast that was. I'm going to Google it.
Please do. And please let me know the answer.
I will.
So a lot of people are getting into it until Prohibition hits Atlanta. And they are saying, hey, dude, we're really into this idea. We like that you're so enterprising. This is a direct quote, by the way. We think it's really cool that you're very enterprising, but that has alcohol in it, and we're not here for it. And so Pemberton, being the original gangster, being the original inventor of soft drinks in the United States, specifically in Atlanta, Georgia, can't really say he's the original inventor of anything else. But he says, okay, that's totally cool. So he takes the wine out. He adds a few other things, tons of freaking sugar. That's reality. Keeps the cola nut. He keeps the cocaine or the extract from the cocoa plant, but I'm just going to keep calling it cocaine. Keeps all of that, and he brands this syrup Coca-Cola, and cola is spelled with a K for the cola nut.
Oh.
And yeah. And so he says, all right, that's cool. I can sell this without the wine. I don't need people to be drunk to like my stuff. I mean, he probably did because whatever.
I mean, you got cocaine and sugar. What else do you need, really?
Wine. Add the wine.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine because he slowly starts to make some traction. And his friend Frank Robinson actually says, you know what? I like the idea. I like that you were able to get a patent on this because he did patent the syrup under the Coca-Cola with a K name. And he says, but what if you change that K to a C and we make it Coca-Cola with a C? Like, don't you like that? Doesn't that look very stylized and nice? And Pemberton says, that's cool. I'm into it. And in 1887, he registers Coca-Cola with a C syrup and extract with the patent office. So now he's making some traction. Here's a problem though. People don't like this shit. Doesn't matter that it's got cocaine in it. They're not really into it. So he starts trying to, because he's forever like a businessman, and I'm really into the idea of him being a businessman. So he starts reaching out to druggists and people in his area, and he's just like, listen, I had this problem. I have this drink. Nobody's buying it. Can we hook up your drug office or your store and my drink? And they're like, yes, we can do that. And so Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta, 1886, first glass of Pemberton's new Coca-Cola drink is served. It slowly starts to gain traction, but if you thought that the cocaine cured his morphine addiction, you were wrong.
Oh no.
Because he's still addicted to morphine. And now, in
he's also
1888,
addicted to his Coca-Cola.
Oh.
He also has stomach cancer. What the hell?
Ooh.
Yeah. So we're addicted to morphine. We've got stomach cancer. So a local businessman named Asa Candler, I cannot say his name any better than that because I was saying it as Asa, but that reminded me of Massa, and then it reminded me of ass. And so we're just going to call him Asa Candler. Says, hey, dude, I know you were on your last leg. I know you've got this stomach cancer and this wicked morphine addiction. I will buy this from you, and you'll have tons of money, and I'll be out of your life, and you don't have to deal with Coca-Cola anymore. And Pemberton says, all right, cool. So on his deathbed, he sells Coca-Cola for $2,300, which in today's currency would translate to about $64,000. So that's on inflation.
That still seems really low.
For sure. But but Pemberton, so I'm saying it like it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. That's super low. He does die very shortly after selling it. So he didn't really have enough time to spend all of it, which it's still totally fucked up. But Asa Candler takes the recipe and the trademark that's owned by Pemberton, files a gang of trademarks and patents for Coca-Cola, makes hella money. Coca-Cola is the #1 selling soft drink in the world. They treated this recipe like it was made of gold. Like you could not get access to this. They actually had, I read in an article, and when I send you all of my citations, I'll send you this too. I read in an article that they had it in a bank vault forever. And I think it was in 1988, the New York Times, of course the New York Times did this, the New York Times met somebody that had seen it, and they were just like, this is the recipe to Coca-Cola. And it was a huge scandal and a big deal because nobody was supposed to see that. It was supposed to be for top tier dudes. So that's the invention of Coca-Cola. And
wow.
Initially I was going to do some wild shit, but then I needed to bring it back down. And so that's how we ended up in soft drinks. But I wanted there to still be some sort of social issue. So in the Coca-Cola family do you say Fanta or Fanta, Windsor?
Fanta.
Okay, so that's wrong. It's Fanta.
Oh,
It's
I've been saying it
Fanta.
wrong too.
Yeah, I think it is Fanta, but I don't like the way that sounds.
Okay, it's not
A little
official.
fancy.
No, so I'm the one making all of these executive decisions, you guys.
Okay. I mean, that checks out.
It does. It tracks very well. But there are some social shady shit that goes along with the invention of Fanta. And
Yeah.
I figured they're under the Coca-Cola umbrella. They were the second brand brought in under the Coca-Cola umbrella. So Winder's actually going to talk about the invention of Fanta.
Fanta. So, when you think of Fanta...
Yeah, everybody tell us below, comment how you say it.
Everybody's going to say Fanta because, listen,
Fanta.
I don't understand why it's such a problem.
Team Brit, Team Windsor. Let's go.
Fanta, anyway. So, when you think of Fanta, you probably think of Keenan and Kel. Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
I do. Or maybe you even think of a sickly sweet syrup you have to drink to check your sugar when you're pregnant.
Dang.
I still can't drink orange soda to this day. No.
Oh my gosh.
But what I bet you don't think about is Nazi Germany.
Facts. That's reality.
In 1923, Robert Woodruff was elected president of the Coca-Cola Company, and he wanted to expand the brand and make it a worldwide name. However, international demand for the brand was relatively low, and outside of the States, production wasn't exactly the best. In fact, a French Coke manufacturer accidentally made consumers sick with unhygienic bottling practices.
Damn.
No.
Yes. So they fucked up. But he persisted.
Nevertheless.
I was going to say it, but I was like, no, this is a man. He doesn't get to nevertheless. The foreign department, later to be known as the Coca-Cola Export Corporation, was born. Over 27 countries had official plants set up, and Coca-Cola oversaw all of them. Coca-Cola provided them the flavor and the flavor syrup, and each country provided its own bottling system and sugar. And a global boom began, as it does. Coca-Cola sponsored the 1928 Summer Olympics in Amsterdam, and Coca-Cola became a household name worldwide.
Saw that
It quickly became a brand. I don't think they had cocaine in it anymore at this point.
They did it. Cocaine did not last very long in Coca-Cola, you guys. It did not last very long.
No, I mean, they just replaced it. Things are probably worse for you. It quickly became a brand associated with Americana and a patriotic American icon across the world. All good, right? And I'm sure you guys are asking, what the fuck does this have to do with Fanta? Well, we're going to get to it. So, as Hitler rose to power, the leader of the Coca-Cola Deutschland, Max Keith, ever the businessman, for Coca-Cola to succeed in Germany, he needed to steer away from Americana and market to a society with German ideals.
Oh, no.
So we can see how this is going to go.
Yeah.
In 1936, the Olympic Summer Games were in Berlin. And like many brands in Germany at that time, the Coca-Cola brand appears next to swastikas on flags and were even seen on trucks at Hitler Youth rallies. And according to an article on the Business Insider, the 9th annual concessionaire convention ended with Keith himself pledging to Coca-Cola and a Sig Heil to Hitler.
Oh, damn. God.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, he is basically like, drink Coca-Cola and put his hand to the air and waved it around like he just don't care.
We don't like it either.
Oh my god.
No. So
thanks, I hate it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So Keith never actually formally joined the Nazi party.
That I knew.
But some accounts basically have him absolutely willing to work with the Third Reich to benefit his company. Capitalism, am I right?
Oh god.
So more he was focused on his business and his money and his check, and not so much the social implications. There was never an official tie to the Nazi party with Coca-Cola ever. Just basically him kind of like putting seeds out there.
This one person.
One person basically was he was being an opportunist.
Yes. You
Coca-Cola
listening,
told Business
Coca-Cola?
Insider that they're
Don't
They
sue
probably
us. You're
are.
poor.
Wait a minute. So listen,
I'm
Coca-Cola,
sure.
we know that you've made some serious changes, and we are willing to surface level accept them.
You can sponsor us too. That's cool. But don't sue us. We're too poor.
Way too poor.
Coca-Cola actually told Business Insider that, quote, there is no indication that Keith collaborated with the Third Reich, end quote. Well, that's probably a cover-up too. Allegedly. And then here comes where we're about to get to where Fanta comes from.
Fanta.
On December 7th, 1941, a day which will live in infamy.
Oh, yeah.
Japan staged a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The day after, the states declared a war on Japan, and in retaliation of that, Germany declared a war on America, which then caused America to declare a war on Germany.
Lots of wars.
On December 11th,
it's one big war, apparently.
It's basically a tit for tat. Yeah, a tit for tat. I think it was a world war, actually.
That's what I heard.
One of those little things. It wasn't nothing but a thing. On December 11th, 1941, the United States declared war against Germany. And now you're asking, but what the fuck does this have to do with Fanta?
What the fuck does it have to do with Fanta?
Fanta, everything. So the thing about war is that it effectively stops trading. Seeing as Germany was now an officially enemy of the state, the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917 enforced a full embargo. Keith had no way of getting any of the flavoring from the states to continue manufacturing Coca-Cola in Germany. Now remember, Keith was a businessman at heart, and he was not one to be stopped.
And that's on capitalism.
He was determined to still produce a drink, so he oversaw the creation of an exclusively German soft drink. He had chemists concoct a soda, not in a backyard, in their lab.
So glad they had a lab.
They tried to get it a soda that was as close to Coca-Cola as you could get with basically food scraps. Everything in his soda was left over from different food industries. It was usually fruit pulp, the liquid byproduct of cheese curdling, amongst other things like apple fibers and whey. It sounds disgusting.
Right.
It was not a cola color like that brown color that we would associate with a Coke, but as we would recognize it now is more the coloring of a modern day ginger ale. The name Fanta came when he asked his sales team to explore their fantasies while inventing a name. And it was reported that someone yelled Fanta and it stuck. So I do get why they would say Fanta, because in German they would be more with the fa, but still,
that's
we're American.
Right.
We're American. Since Fanta was the only option available to Germans, it spread quickly, and since it was a very sweet drink, it became a cooking staple for things like soups and stews, given that the sugar rations in place during the war, which we had here as well.
Yeah.
If you were baking a pie or you made a cake, it was once a year for our birthday, and that was it. You couldn't have it for anything else. So there's a lot of flavorless things. But that happens in a war. Keith then used his connections in the Third Reich to oversee all plants in Germany and conquered territories, saving the subsidiaries from shuttering their doors. The German branch sold 3 million cases before the war was over. So then, Keith was actually in it for the business and not himself. When the war was over, the production ceased, and Keith gave all the profits of his creation over to Coca-Cola.
Okay. Keith seems a little sus, though. Who has connections with the Third Reich so casually?
So then here's my thing about Keith. If I'm a parent and I cut my kid off for whatever reason, we're in war, I can't send you anything, and you tell me that you went and did your own thing and you were basically helping out the Nazis, you and I have a problem.
I would have a huge problem if my kid was like, yeah, we're just going to Heil Hitler, I'm going to make some money today. And
yeah, don't worry about it. Just let it happen. No,
Don't worry about it, Mom. Is just trying to make some money for the Nazis.
Sorry,
Gosh.
I was just trying to make friends. We were just hanging with the guys, Mom. Oh, let me go play Fortnite. So what we now know as like orange soda, Fanta today, is actually the product from a rebrand from Italy in 1955. It was a vibrant orange produced using local citrus ingredients. This partially enabled them to distance themselves from the Third Reich and make a profitable product.
Okay, cool.
And everything's swell now, right?
No.
Right?
No.
Never
forget.
No, never.
Hashtag.
In 2015, someone in marketing had to have been fired after Coca-Cola launched an ad celebrating Fanta's 75th anniversary with a commercial in German, which when you look at the commercial, I mean, it seems like it's like, oh, here we are. We're coming back. We're going to rebrand it just as less sweet and not with a bunch of trash. And we're going to rebrand this. We're going to give it out as a special thing, right? Cool. Great. Only it said, quote, "We are bringing back the feeling of the good old times with the new Fanta Classic."
Oh no. What's the good old times?
Oh,
apparently Nazi Germany.
Oh no.
Right. If you have no context, you think this is a really cute commercial and you say, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh no.
When you get context, it's done.
I feel like that commercial was more like, when you're a kid, sitting on the porch with your grandmother, like that type of thing. But it didn't go over well.
It's giving me super good old days vibes with a Confederate flag. Like
very Make America Great Again vibes.
Yeah.
Very, very much. Very much. Very much Stop the Steal vibes.
Yikes.
And just so you know, I had to watch the YouTube video of this, and I actually did include the YouTube video in the show notes. But the comment section.
Oh no.
Is the comment section. Oh. And I'm not going to read them because some of them are fucked up.
Yeah, really gotta take care of yourself.
Yes. So,
healthcare.
And there you have Fanta. And since it can't have a very dark history to it, I thought, we thought we would spice it up. Brittany is going to talk about some of the things that Coke can do besides kill you. And I'm going to bring it to the kitchen.
So yeah, we're going to really quickly run through some things that you can do with Coca-Cola if you happen to have it in your home that is not drinking it, because I was raised on Coca-Cola. There was Coca-Cola in my bottle when I was a baby.
Oh no, I'm calling CPS. I'm calling you.
Retroactively.
Call me on my mother. But this was such a common thing. You live in Georgia, you drink Coke. It's what you do. It is not good for your body. I'm just going to throw that out there. But it's good for a lot of other things, like cleaning your toilet bowl, like marinating meat or making barbecue sauce.
That is actually really good.
Ooh,
it really is. Yes.
Crock-Pot, yeah.
Exactly. Apparently, you can use Coca-Cola to get milk stains out of clothes. And I saw a variety of sources gave me this. So listen. I just had a lot of problems with it. I've never had a milk stain that would just that pesky milk stain. Let me pour some
club
Coca-Cola on it.
It just club soda.
I don't know. It was weird. So I have done this. You can loosen nuts and bolts and things in your car or around.
It's eating the metal.
So it eats that rust out. I've used it on my car when I've had to change a tire and I couldn't get the shit done by myself. Just poured some Coke on that. That's back in my soda drinking days. Apparently it will soothe stings and bites. If you put it on the afflicted area, it will help to soothe that out.
Well, I did not know that one.
Yeah, me neither. You can apparently use it just room temperature to defrost your windshield, or if you have ice on your windshield.
Room temperature product.
Shut up, Windsor. We're talking about Coke. Damn it. I'm going to text your mother and ask her to come get you because you're misbehaving. Removing gum from your hair or the carpet. Again, I just feel like we're making a lot of sticky stains. But you can use it if you put it on your hair. Yeah. Also, you can use it for hair care. apparently people have used it in like almost like a mask on their hair with a variety, sticky and disgusting, right? Variety of different outcomes. Most of the outcomes are like volume. So if you need some more volume in your hair, I guess try Coca-Cola. I'm not going to tell you that officially though. Just buy conditioner or something. I don't really know. You can use it for gardening. Apparently azaleas and gardenias love Coca-Cola.
It helps your azalea banks grow?
Yes, it helps your... God damn it. Dion says you can use it to clean up after a motorcycle accident. That is stressful.
Ooh,
that
like
was
the oil?
I don't know, but I had remove oil stains from your driveway. This was just something I got out of the comment section. I am very stressed out about this right now. But that is now 11 things that you can do with Coca-Cola that does not include putting it into your body. So
yeah. Yeah, I've definitely used it when, like my batteries all broken.
Yeah, I get
and
that.
we drink that.
Oh, it's such a sweet nectar of the gods when you're addicted, though.
It is. It's the cocaine. Not even in it anymore. Your body is like, yes, I'm supposed to drink this in excess, and you have to be the one to say, you know what? I cannot do this to myself.
Oh,
man.
God, that went dark.
Yeah, that got real dark.
In the comments, if you're Patreon, shameless plug, you can comment in real time, and the most recent comment was about the motorcycle, but then Dion added the blood and viscera. Oh God!
Okay.
The coroners keep liters of Coke on hand. Yikes!
All right.
So I actually do have 2 quick recipe type things you can make. I'm not going over all the recipes, but I will link them to you if you want to eat them. And these are not the TikTok ones that we have all seen and wanted to vomit over. No, where she just like pours a can of Coke in with some SpaghettiOs and Jello. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So
nope.
You can make a cherry Coke Black Forest cobbler.
Ding, ding, ding. That was a random word.
To make this, all you need is 1 can of cherry Coke, 1 packaged chocolate cake mix, 2 21-ounce cans of cherry pie filling, and 1 package of chocolate chips.
Oh, well, that actually kind of sounds good.
It does.
Yeah, that really does. Good. Actually, I'm so hungry.
This next one, oh, me too. I'm going to get snacks when we're done. The next one you can make with Fanta. You can make a Fanta pound cake it has a incredibly rich, buttery, tender texture with a slight orange flavor and orange from the Fanta and orange zest with a cream cheese topping.
Ooh.
No, something about that is not right.
Cream cheese just always makes me go, ooh.
I do. It's basically like a carrot cake, I think, almost, but instead of it has soda in it. It's going to be a no for me.
That's a no for me,
but
dog.
That's something you can make with Fanta, but I would eat that cobbler.
Right. I think I should make that this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be in her show notes.
Yeah. So all the recipes will be in her show notes.
Well, I'm assuming like the soda flavor gets burned out of everything or cooked out of it, right?
So I'm assuming I once made it. This is going to sound like the weirdest shit I have ever said. And I really did this with a very distant cousin of mine. She made like a 7-Up cake that you poked holes in and then you poured the 7-Up in it. I've never heard of this shit before, but whatever. And it did not taste like a soda drink. It's just kind of, I don't know. So I'm assuming it gets kind of cooked out or whatever.
Yeah, I've made those 7-Up biscuits.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were using soda to add sweetener to their stews and stuff. So
yeah, and I've done Dr. Pepper pulled pork before.
Oh yeah, I've had that. When I used to eat pork, oh God, I'd pour soda on all.
Pour one out for it.
Intake was wild. Oh my gosh, I have changed a lot.
We just ordered a smoker, and I might be doing some of that.
Ooh, the smoker is the greatest thing we own.
Yeah, we got a smoker and we got a flat top griddle.
Ooh,
yeah, we're fancy.
I know you can tell adulthood by the things that excite you.
Mm-hmm.
No,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before you guys go, plug your podcast. Where can they listen to you? Where they can find you?
So, like we said at the beginning, we are Thanks I Hate It. If you're still using websites, you can find us at TIHIpodcast.com. We are also on, I want to say all streaming platforms, but I'm probably missing like Pandora. I don't think we're on Pandora. So if you listen to podcasts on Pandora, then we're not going to be there. But I mean, literally Spotify, if you type in Thanks I Hate It, there will be one other podcast
that's 5 episodes.
Does not get updated. And then there's us, and our faces are on our icon. So that's how you'll know it us, because it literally looks like us. Windsor did a great job with that. But we are on Instagram, struggling over on Instagram. I believe it's under TIH. I think it's actually Thanks I Hate It podcast. Let me check real quick. Oh my gosh. What does it say? Oh, it is TIHI podcast. On Instagram, on Twitter. We have like a Facebook page, but y'all aren't going to get anything out of that listen. So, there's nothing happening over there. There's nothing happening.
It links to Instagram. That's it.
It tells you just to go visit the Instagram. What are you doing? So, definitely check us out. We are most active on Twitter when we're active, and Instagram when we're active. We release episodes every Tuesday. So new episodes will start coming out again on April 27th. That'll be a true crime supernatural episode, which is super cool. I'm very excited for this upcoming episode. But yeah, we talk social issues. We try to make it funny. We try not to be assholes about it, but it's like in our nature. So sometimes we sound very assholey. We love feedback. So if you ever listen to an episode and you're like, I have a different opinion, I have a different thought, or I have different information, we love different information. Share it with us, because just like Keena with changing to Erie, we will absolutely take information, and if we need to make a change, we are the ones that are going to do it. So that's us.
I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been a long time in the making, and I'm just so excited.
Samesies, we're so excited.
And I'll invade your podcast anytime. Just let me know when and where. I will be there.
Oh, we're
talking the history of blowjobs.
No, that is not a thing. That is going to happen. Well, it might actually happen.
I have done historical dicks as a whole episode, so it's really not.
I did live
outside my realm. It's my favorite to tell people, because you can always tell if they're going to get cool real quick or if they're going to run.
Dicks of history. I like it.
Famous dicks dick is what inspired the whole podcast. So it's fitting.
Famous dicks. I like it.
I want to thank my guest, Thanks I Hate It podcast, again for joining me. Britt, Windsor, I had such an amazing time with you, and I can't thank you enough. And I can't wait to have you guys back on. All right, time to shamelessly plug all my wares. Starting with Patreon. If you want to watch these episodes live, comment along, ask questions, hang out, see all the deleted scenes and all the bloopers. There's always so many bloopers because words are hard, guys. They're so hard. You should join Patreon. That is patreon.com/historicalafpod. And we really are a family of just misfits that share this common bond of, loving history and weird shit. And we need you, Be a part of our chosen family. You won't regret it. And there's lots of benefits. You get extra content. You get things in the mail. You get to join the private Discord, the private Facebook. There's just so many benefits. You should check that out. It's patreon.com/historicalafpod. If you'd like to buy some merch, you can go to shop.spreadshirt.com/historicalafpod. There's some new stuff coming. And if you remember episode 1, way back when, we're going way, 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 way back. The bunnies on snails with sticks poking stuff. There's stuff coming out. We have a historical AF marginalia coming to your eye holes soon. That's weird. Anywho, check that out. I also have an Etsy store with some podcast stuff on it. That is etsy.com/shop/Keena's Creations with a K. We need your stories really bad. Please, I need more desperately. So if you have a funny history nugget, a cool town legend, family history, a ghost story, an alien story, we've never had one of those. That'd be amazing. Send that to historicalafpod@gmail.com, or you can DM me on social media, which by the way, is Historical AF Pod across the board. And you can follow me on TikTok, do that ticky-tocky thing. I normally do history content. I've been a little behind with everything going on, but I'm going to be putting stuff out very, very soon. And that is at Keena Leanne. I think that's it. If I forgot something, then oh well. Thank you guys again for everything. I love you all so deeply. I'll see you next week for Inventions Part 2 with For the Love of History podcast. Okay, bye.